Hello all, welcome back to this session on System Verilog course. So in this session we are going to discuss about argument passing by name as well as argument passing by value. So we have discussed about tasks and functions in our previous session, right? So we have started with our discussion. So we now in this session we will see how to pass the arguments of these tasks and functions. So there are basically two methods to pass the arguments. So these are basically argument passing by name and argument passing by value. So in system verilog, argument passing by name refers to a method where you explicitly associate actual argument with the formal parameters by using their names during a function or task call. So this method provides clarity, reduces the chance of errors while dealing with a large number of parameters, and is especially helpful when passing default or optional arguments. Okay, so basically in case of we have seen, right? So in case of passing the arguments, we have arguments passing by value and arguments passing by name and arguments passing by value and arguments passing by reference. Okay, arguments passing by reference. So we have three methods to pass our arguments. Now let's see the arguments passing by name. Okay, so let's say we have a module tb and we have declared something, and we have declared a task with input a and input b and output c. So these are the arguments of my task, and what I will do is return c is equal to a plus b. Okay, so in system verilog I have a keyword called return. So this is used to return the return the values. Okay, so return c is equal to a plus b, I have written that. Okay, and end task. Now what I will do, within an initial beginning block I can pass the arguments for this task. How I will pass? So I should write the task name, task keyword followed by task name. Let's say example task ex. So I will write ex followed by, I will pass the arguments. So what are all the inputs for this task ex? A, b and c. Okay, so how to pass this is dot a of, so how to pass this, dot a of 4 comma dot b of 7. So like this I can pass the arguments by referring the name. Okay, so this is arguments passing by name. Now let's discuss arguments passing by value. So in case of arguments passing by value, let's say we have a task, and let's say the task name example, and we have arguments as int I j. Okay, and yeah, we have something written in this task and end task. So in case of arguments passing by value, we will pass the arguments directly. Okay, so we will call the task name and we will just simply pass the arguments 5 and 7. Okay, so like this we will pass the arguments directly to this task by providing the value in the arguments. Okay, whereas in the case of arguments passed by value, arguments passed by name, we will provide the name of the argument and the value. Okay, so this is how we will pass the arguments by arguments passed by name and arguments passed by value. And we also have default arguments. Default arguments. What is this default arguments? Let's say if we have declared any task, let's say task ex underscore 2, and we have int a and int b is equal to 0 and int c. Okay, so these are all the three arguments I have for my ex underscore 2, and have written some logic for this ex underscore 2, and I'm ending my task. And within an initial begin block, what I will do is initial begin, I will pass the arguments by calling my task ex underscore 2, and I will pass, so I'm using arguments passed by values. I will pass the value 0, and I will leave the second argument blank, and I will pass the third argument 1. If I leave the second argument blank also, there will be no problem because the argument is by default there is some value declared. Okay, so it is a default argument. So if we do not provide any value to this argument also, there will be no error because it is already defined. It is a default argument. Okay, so like this we can also declare some default arguments in case of in case when we have declared any argument previously. Okay, so this is the default arguments. The third type is pass by reference. So if pass by arguments by reference in system verilog allows a function or task to modify the actual variable passed to it. Okay, not just a copy of that value. So here what happens in the case of pass by arguments is the system verilog a function or task to modify the actual variable. So the variable which we have passed to the task, that variable there will be modification. The modification will be done on the actual variable which we are passing to it. For example, in case of pass by value, let's see these two differences. Let's say this is pass by value and second one is pass by reference. So let's say here we have taken a task called ex underscore 1 and we have some arguments int a, int b. Okay, and we have something written in this and end task, and within an initial begin block, initial begin, I will pass the arguments ex underscore 1. I will pass as, let's say, a comma b. Okay, so in the module when I have declared, I will declare them as int variables, int a comma b. Okay, and these variables I will pass int a is equal to 2, sorry, a is equal to 2 and b is equal to 3. So while declaring only, I will declare it as int variables and I will assign the value of a is equal to 2 and b is equal to 3, and I will pass them to my task. So I will pass a and b. Okay, inside my task what happens is return. So I will take one more variable called c, or I will modify in this only a is equal to a plus b. Okay, so what happens here, what I am passing the values of a and b, that is 2 and 3 I am passing to my task. Okay, so in the task what happens, what is my value, the task what it will do, it will add a, that is 2 is equal to 2 plus 3, that means it will become 5, a will be equal to 5. But will there be any modification in the global variable which I have declared outside this task? No. So there will be no modification or there will be no alteration. There will be no modification done to the global variable which we have passed to the task as a argument if we have done any modifications to that variable. If we have done any modifications to that variable. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm passing the variables to my task and I'm modifying the variables inside my task. So these modifications will not be reflected outside my task. If I see that display statement, then there will be no modifications that will be reflected outside this task. So if there are any modifications which are done to this global variables inside my task, so that modifications will not be reflected outside my task in case of pass by value. Okay, whereas in case of pass by reference, if I have declared a task, let's say ex underscore 2, and so to declare a task by reference, I should mention the keyword ref followed by the data type followed by the variables a comma b. Okay, so ref is used to indicate it is a task by reference, and what I will do, a is equal to a plus b. or I think I've written an example here. I will show it. Wait a minute. Oh, I think it's got erased. 1 minute, I will write it. So in case of task by arguments passed by reference, task ex underscore to ref a comma b, ref int a comma b. So I'm making them as ref. So using the keyword ref, if I use the keyword ref, then it is called task by reference. Okay. Now what I will do, a is equal to a plus b. Okay, and end task. Now globally also what I will do, I will declare the variables int a which is equal to 2 and int b which is equal to 3. So globally I have declared two variables, a is equal to 2 and b is equal to 3, and I'm passing this variables by calling my task ex underscore 2 and a comma b. So there are modifications which are done to my uh, arguments which I have passed to my task. So these modifications will also be reflected to the outside of the task. Okay. So the value of a will be equal to altered to a will be equal to 2 plus 3, that is equal to 5. So this change will be reflected outside of my task also. So this is what task by arguments passed by reference. So in case of arguments passed by reference, any changes which are made to the variables which are passed by which are passed as arguments, that changes will be reflected outside my task also. Okay, so this is about task passed by value as well as task arguments passed by reference. Now, let's see an example for task passed by value and task passed by reference. So, let's see first task arguments. Let me zoom in. Task arguments passed by value. Okay, so let me declare a module task underscore example underscore passed by value. So in this, let me declare a task. So let me declare first variables. So let's say int x, y, and z. Okay, and inside this I will declare a task. So task example. In this I have the arguments int x, y, z. Okay, this is task passed by um, value. Okay, now what I will do is I will write x is equal to x plus y, and I will display the value of x inside the task is percentage d comma x, and okay, I will write it here only. X comma y is percent in the task are percentage d comma x comma y. Okay, and I will end this task, end task, and within an initial beginning block I will make modifications to this into variables int x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 1. Okay, x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 1, and I will call this task example, and I will pass the values of x and y, and I will display these values $display the value of x and y are percentage d comma x comma y. So the value of x and y outside the task are percentage d. Okay, now I will end this and in the module. I'm saving this. So module task underscore ex underscore example. I'll try to run this. Task underscore ex underscore example. Wait a minute. Now let me compile this file. Yeah, compilation successful, and let me simulate this file. Start simulation. Work or so it is task underscore ex underscore example. I should search for that. 1 minute. So first I should save this file actually. Now let me compile it again. Compile selected. I'm getting one error. Let me check what is it. Yeah. So we should keep a semicolon at the end of this when we have declared the task. So that's the error. Now let me try to simulate this. Start simulation. Work and the task. Yeah. Task example pass by value. Let me simulate this and let me run this. Yeah. So we can see the value of x and y inside the task are it is percentage d. Sorry, it is percentage d. Let me recompile it again. It's a typo. I've written $d actually. Let me simulate it again. Compile selected. Yes, compilation successful. Start simulation. Work. Yeah. Enter. Let me run this. Yeah. So let me show the console output to you. So here the x and y inside the task are 1 comma 1. So y 1 comma 1, here we can see where I am passing 0 comma 1 to my task. So x is equal to x plus y, 0 is equal to 0 plus 1, that is x will be equal to 1. So I am getting 1 which is displayed inside from the task. So I am making modifications to x. Okay, in the task I'm making modifications to x in the task, but that modifications, that changes are not reflected outside my module. Okay, here we can observe there are no changes reflected outside my module. Okay, now let me change it to refer. So this here I'm keeping the keyword ref, and let me save this and compile this. Compile selected. So we can see the error. So it is showing the error that uh, the task or function example with ref arguments x must be automatic, and the task or function example with ref argument y must be automatic. So this error it is showing. So if we don't use the keyword automatic, so we should use, if we want to use the keyword reference ref keyword in our argument, so the task should be of type automatic. Okay, we cannot use static tasks, so the compiler is giving a error. Okay, so if I use the keyword automatic and save this and compile it again, compile selected, so compilation is successful. Now let me simulate it. Simulate, start simulation. Work. So task example pass by value. Let me check this. Task example pass by value, and let me check it in the simulation window what I am getting. It's getting simulated. So it is taking some time. 1 minute. Yeah. So let me run this, and here I can observe the value of the x and y inside the task and the x and y outside the task. Okay, so here the value of x and y inside the task are 1 comma 1. So the value of x and y inside the task are 1 comma 1, and we can observe the value of x and y outside the task are also being modified. The value of x is also modified outside the task. Here we are not modifying the value of x outside. Here we are making it 0, but we are passing it. So this value is being modified inside the task, and we can see the value is being modified outside the task also. We are getting the display statement, the value of x and y outside the task is 1 and 1. So like this, the value will be modified when we are using the keyword ref. Yeah, so that's all for this session. Thank you.